Right now, in a lab in Nanjing, a wireless signal is moving enough data to download the entire Netflix library in under 10 seconds. Through the air, no cables, 206 gigabits per second. That's roughly 100 times faster than the 5G on your phone. But what's keeping governments awake at night isn't the speed. It's a chip, smaller than your thumbnail, that does something no other chip on the planet can do. And it hides a move that renders US chip sanctions powerless. Guinness didn't certify this. It's not a world record stunt. It's a working prototype, built by a research team that's been invisible to Western media until now. The chip was announced quietly in a Chinese technical journal. No fanfare, no press tour. Just a single paper describing a method that breaks every assumption the telecom industry made about what's physically possible. And the timing is no accident. Your phone, your car, the equipment in your hospital, the factory that makes your medicine, all of it runs on wireless networks. Every generational leap, 3G, 4G, 5G, didn't just make phones faster. It reordered who controls the money and the power. 4G enabled Uber and Netflix. 5G was supposed to enable autonomous cars and remote surgery. It didn't. And the reason why is about to become very clear. If you love stories the West ignores, hit like and subscribe. We cover the shifts most people miss until it's too late. Because this chip isn't just faster wireless. It's the crack that shows the entire Western strategy for containing Chinese tech might have been aimed at the wrong target. While Washington focused on blocking access to cutting-edge silicon fabs, China found a path that doesn't need them. 5G made a lot of promises. Autonomous cars talking to each other in real time. Surgeons operating on patients 1,000 miles away with zero lag. Entire factories synchronized down to the millisecond. It delivered none of it at scale. The reason is bandwidth. 5G's theoretical peak is around 10 gigabits per second. In the real world, you get maybe 300 megabits. That's not enough to run a dozen high-definition video feeds simultaneously. It's barely enough for one. Enter terahertz waves, frequencies between 100 gigahertz and 10 terahertz. For decades, scientists called this band the terahertz gap, a spectrum too high for traditional electronics, too low for optics. The signals are incredibly fragile. They get absorbed by moisture in the air. They can't penetrate walls. Most researchers dismiss them as a laboratory curiosity, useless for real-world communication. The Nanjing team cracked it. 206.25 gigabits per second, transmitted wirelessly over the air using terahertz frequencies. That's not a typo. To put it in perspective, downloading a 2-hour 4K movie takes about 30 seconds on a good 5G connection. On this system, it takes 1/10 of a second. The entire Netflix catalog, every movie, every series, would transfer in under 10 seconds. But none of this works without solving a hardware problem everyone thought was unsolvable. Traditional chips are built to handle specific frequency bands. Your phone has separate chips for Wi-Fi, for cellular, for Bluetooth. Each one is optimized for a narrow slice of the spectrum. Terahertz sits so far outside the normal range that no conventional chip can process it. You'd need an entirely new architecture, and that architecture would need to do something impossible. The chip would need to handle every frequency from conventional bands all the way up to terahertz on a single piece of silicon. And it would need to do it fast enough to process 206 gigabits per second in real time. No buffering, no delay. That's where the photonic chip comes in. And this is where the sanctions story gets interesting. Photonics means processing signals as light instead of electricity. Traditional chips push electrons through silicon. Photonic chips push photons. Light moves faster. It generates less heat. And here's the key part. It doesn't need the cutting-edge lithography that US sanctions just blocked China from accessing. The Nanjing chip is smaller than your thumbnail. It handles frequencies from standard wireless bands all the way up to terahertz on one piece of silicon. Conventional chips are made using photolithography, essentially printing circuits onto silicon with ultraviolet light. The more advanced the chip, the smaller the wavelength of light you need. The machines that do this are made by one company, ASML, in the Netherlands. The most advanced ones cost $150 million each, and can print features 5 nanometers wide. The US convinced the Dutch government to block their sale to China in 2023. China's most advanced fabs are stuck at 7 nanometers. Photonics sidesteps the entire problem. You don't need 5 nanometer precision when you're routing light instead of electricity. The physics are different. The chip still uses silicon, the same material every chip fab in the world already knows how to work with. But the architecture doesn't depend on pushing transistor density to the bleeding edge. It depends on manipulating photons, and you can't sanction physics. This is the part that keeps Western strategists awake. The entire sanctions architecture was built on the assumption that advanced chips require advanced fabs. Cut off the fabs, you cut off the chips. But photonics doesn't play by those rules. China just demonstrated a chip that does what silicon couldn't: process terahertz frequencies in real time, using a technology the sanctions don't touch. The gap the West thought it had created never existed. 6G isn't just faster internet. It's the infrastructure layer for the next decade. Autonomous vehicle swarms that coordinate in real time. Factories where every machine syncs to the millisecond. Surgeons controlling robotic arms on the other side of the planet with zero perceptible lag. Augmented reality that overlays the real world with zero delay. All of it requires bandwidth that 5G can't deliver. And China just built the chip that makes it possible. The West is still debating how to slow China's access to 5 nanometer chips. China just changed the material. While the sanctions focused on silicon transistors, Chinese researchers built a path around them using light. The photonic chip doesn't need the machines WERN. ASML won't sell. It doesn't need the fabs the US blocked. It needs physics. And the physics work. 206 gigabits per second. Wireless. Real. Already demonstrated. A research team in Nanjing just built a chip that processes signals as light, not electricity, and hits speeds 100 times faster than 5G, using frequencies the world called impossible. The race to 6G isn't starting. It's already over. And the West is only now realizing it was running toward the wrong finish line. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The next move out of China will make this look like the warm-up. Would you trust a wireless network this fast to run your car, your hospital, your city? Drop your answer below. I read every one.